Hi everybody, this is Everyday Commentary. This is a video overview of this knife, and this knife is the Arcform Slimfoot. And the Arcform Slimfoot is a really cool knife. I'm just going to say it. It's probably not going to blow your socks off in terms of originality. It's a titanium frame lock flipper. Stop me if you've heard this before. It has carbon fiber on the scale. Again, stop if you've heard this before. It has a sculpted titanium pocket clip. Once again, it has a bearing pivot. All the things that you basically want in a high-end production knife. But, unlike a lot of high-end production knives, this has a bunch of really cool touches. First of all, this is a really, really unique looking knife. This knife has lines and blade shapes that no other knife has. And that alone makes it stand out from the crowd despite being a TTF with, sort of the bullet point checklist of features. Arcform is a company, as a small production company. Right now they only have one knife, and the knife is this knife, the Slimfoot, and it is a collaboration between Arcform and Jeff Blovout, Tough Thumbs, who's been on the podcast, who have written about extensively, who's modified one of my knives. Jeff is one of the more original designers out there. I really, really like his aesthetic. Even when he's doing a knife that has, like lots of features that are shared by other knives, you can always tell a blowout knife from another knife. And so that's one thing that's really nice. The other thing that's really nice here is, again, this is sort of an aesthetic thing, but it's also a practical thing. This is a really unusual blade shape. First of all, it has the Morse-Kohansky continuous curve, which even in a folder is something I like. But then it has this very sort of rounded off tip. You can still do some piercing. It's not going to be like, through a car door, like butter kind of thing, but you can still do some really, sharp cuts if you need to. And I found this blade shape to be incredibly useful. And it was never, one of those things where I was like, where the heck is the tip? Because like you can hold the knife like that and do some really precise scoring and cuts. And I was able to do, what ended up being kind of crazy amounts of debarking. So I was making a walking stick for my 2-year-old son, and there was a bunch of bark on it. I was like, hey, I got this knife. Let's see what we can do. And so it's a good test for a knife because it really sort of tells you where the hot spots are and all that kind of stuff. These big, fat, wide chamfers, classic blowout touches, actually make the knife feel really good in the hand. It's not contoured, it's flat, but it has some dimensionality to it because of these contours. And it does really do a good job at working on the hot spots. The only hot spot that I ended up developing was right here, like this area between this point and this point. And that was just, you're doing these kind of sort of long, slow pressure cuts over and over and over and over again. You're going to get a little bit of a hot spot here too on the clip, which is one of the reasons why I just hate sculpted titanium pocket clips. But for a sculpted titanium pocket clip, this is not bad. It has some spring tension to it, which is good. Some of them feel like they're just, pocket hooks as opposed to pocket clips. Also note that this is one that's installed with blind screws. As you can see, the screws are right there. But from the outside, you get this really clean look. And that just makes this knife so, so beautiful. The knife is actually built for Arcform by Riate. And if you're going to choose an OEM, Riate is probably the best one out there right now. The transition between the titanium and the carbon fiber here is fingernail flush. It is wonderful. I wish these two screws weren't here. I wish that they had, attached the CF blind as well. I think that's going to be a thickness issue. And you don't want to have obviously you'd rather have the screw heads and the screw bottoms poking out. But they're not too bad if you're not looking at them and you have the knife in the right light. You can't really see them. You can't really like there, but they do catch the light, and it does sort of detract. I mean, this is a really simple, simplistic, modern-looking design, and having those right there, I was like, yeah. I would note that all of the bits are bits that you can change yourself. So good mark here. The pivot is not super decorative, but it does have a little bit of a style to it. And I like the fact that the pivot is still a Torx bit pivot. I would prefer, ideally, as Nick has told us, you'd want just one side to be free moving. Here you have to do this kind of bullshit, which doesn't really sort of incline me to like the knife. A couple things. The fuller here is really beautiful. I do I suppose that if you really were trying to, you could get it open that way. But the flipping action is phenomenal, and the flipper shape here is really, really great. You know, Jeff has done a lot of work on flippers, and so his flipper design is really cool. I'll note that this is sort of like the Dietz mod for the Quaken. You know, you cut the corner and do the... It's not exactly, because there's still this part here, but it's pretty close, and it just fires like a rocket. You know, this thing will not false fire. You really, 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 really have to work at it. I mean, you really are working at it to get a false fire. I mean, it's just thoughtless every time. It is a little, it's not like fall down shut. I actually prefer it not to be fall down shut. I know that's not what most people like, but there are flippers out there that are faster. This is definitely like a whooshing, you know, you can feel it. It sort of uncoils, as opposed to some knives that flip where it's like, it's open, it's closed. There's nothing in between. This knife is not like that. You know, there's a distinct arc to it. It's just, see that? Arc to it. The other thing that I like here is that the index notch, this place right here for your thumb or for your finger, is really good. Not only does it clear a good path, I mean, very good path. Look how big that is. You just boom, go in and get it. It not only clears a good path for your thumb to disengage the lock bar, but it also gives you a good place to purchase the knife. I mean, you got it locked in right there. It's very, very good. So I really like the Arcform. I think it is, or the Slimfoot. I think it's one of the cooler looking knives out there. If you're looking for a titanium frame lock flipper and you are just done with titanium frame lock flippers, but you want to, you know, you want something a little different, this checks all the bullets that you like, and it looks different, and so that makes it a worthwhile purchase. This is, of course, S35VN, because that's the steel. It's the steel almost all these knives use. So if you're looking for a knife, take a look at the Arcform Slimfoot by Arcform Knives and Jeff Blauvelt. And look for a review of this knife coming soon.